Khoisan people. Who are the Khoisan people? Welcome. We are learning about Africans. So who are Africans? For this video, we're covering the Khoisan people. Please hit that subscription button and let us get started. So, who are Africans? Africans can be divided into 6 groups, actually 5, but we'll consider them 6. When you talk about their lingo-ethnography, which is languages that they speak and how they are grouped. We got the Afro-Asiatics to the north. Here we have the Berber people, the Arabic, the Oromo to the east, and the Hausa to the west. Then we have the largest group, which is the Niger-Congo, that can be divided into the non-Bantoid group A and the Bantoid group B. So the non-Bantoid are the Fulani, the Yoruba, the Igbo. These are your known Africans who excel in everything around the world. And then we have the Bantus, who are the Waswahili, the Chewa, the Linga, the Congo, the largest group of people in the continent. Then we have the Nilo-Saharan, found in north, east, and west of Africa. For this video, the Khoisan people who are indigenous to Southern Africa, the Austronesians who are the Malagasy people in Madagascar, and last but not least, the Indonesian Europeans who came into Africa around 1650. Khoisan, or the Khoi, as you see them, there's the Khoi and the San people, are found in the southern end of the continent. They're an umbrella group, which means it's not one tribe or one group of people. It's just an umbrella group known as the Khoisan. So who are the Khoisan? As I said, indigenous people of Southern Africa. The name Khoisan is a blend between the Khoi people and the San group of people, 2 different groups. And under this group, you'll find different languages or different tribes, but they do share a culture and a language that has that click sound. They're not homogeneous, as I said before, but they have also lived in isolation from each other. So which is interesting when you start hearing they have that click sound in their consonants. Here we have the tribe of Sumkwe, the Sumkwe people of the San group. They are an amalgamation of tribes, which is different tribes that come together and known as the Khoisan group of people. It is suggested that the San people descendants are representative of the early Stone Age ancestors, while the Khoi represent the late Stone Age arrivals in Southern Africa, who were later displaced by the Bantus when the Bantu migration happened, and the Southern Bantus were the last ones to migrate from West and then mid Africa, Central Africa, and then to the south around 1 AD. When they arrived to Southern Africa, these are your Chewas, the Hausas, the Zulus, the Dembeles. Once they go to Southern Africa, they displaced the Khoi and the San to move farther to the desert regions. Migration. So where did the Khoisan people migrate from? The Khoi and the San people are believed to have migrated to the south from Eastern Africa, the modern day region known as Ethiopia, northern Kenya, that region, Somali in that region. Archaeological and linguistic studies of the region suggest that a subset of the Khoisan, known as the Khoi speakers, arrived in Southern Africa from East Africa around 2,200 years ago. According to conventional thinking, the Khoisan tribe of Southern Africa, they have lived in near isolation from the rest of humanity for thousands and thousands of years. In fact, the studies shows that they share DNA or have DNA matches closely to some of modern day Southern Europe, that region of Spain and Italy. As they migrated from East Africa to Southern Africa, they brought in their way of life, they brought in their cattle, they brought in their way of looking for which berries, which fruits to go harvest and what to consume. So Bantu migration started from Western Africa, modern day Cameroon region, and the last group to migrate left this region, headed south, got to the Congo River in Central Africa, then headed farther south to the Kalahari Desert. Another group that had already arrived in Eastern Africa, these are the Chewas and the Debeles, headed to Zimbabwe, Zambia, and then all the way down to Southern Africa. Location. The Khoi was skilled in the practice of nomadic pastoralism, both in agriculture, keeping of animals. They maintained a large herd of cattle throughout the country, and evidence suggests that they migrated to southern Africa from Botswana, that region, to the part of modern-day southern Africa. Some moved down from the Kalahari Desert to the Cape, while others ventured southeast towards South Africa's high-lying lands. The San, on the other hand, had territories covering regions as far as Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Lesotho. Food and water. Men went out hunting while women gathered wild plants for food and medicinal purposes. Many considered the Khoisan to have some of the most incredible knowledge and insight in wild animals and the environment that they inhabited. Their ability to extract nutrients from seemingly inconspicuous plants and survive in generally arid or inhospitable environments is incredible. Methods of hunting. They used small bows and short arrows, which they make, and on the tip of the arrow, they place a poison that they produce from caterpillars. On the hunting side, they had an incredible ability to tune into their surroundings, to track animals across the land, and take down wild game with small poison-tipped arrows. Many have a comprehensive knowledge about the medicinal value of plants, and they use natural items to cure hundreds of ailments without modern medicine. San people are expert in archery. They are also amazing masters of trapping. They make the traps not with metal or rope, but only with natural materials like branches and grass and leaves. All this knowledge will be lost if the younger generation does not get a chance to live this lifestyle. They do also have the ability to start fire and prepare their food. The sharing of food was an important aspect of the village life. Any significant kill was shared. Sheep and cattle killed during ceremonial feasts were eaten by all who were present. Although wealth was measured in terms of livestock ownership, hunting and gathering was open to all members of the tribe. The Khoi kept a large herd of fat-tailed sheep, longhorn cattle, and goats. Livestock were used for milk, and they were also slaughtered only on ritual occasion. Oxen was used as pack animals, especially when camp was moving. All stocks were individually owned. Chiefs and headmen owned a large number, while servants may have owned no stock whatsoever or one or two cattle. The herd would be taken out every day in search of grazing, pasture, and returned to the corral at night. There was a division of labor among the Khoi, with cattle rearing left to men, while women and children looked after small livestock like chicken. They knew which roots to extract for water, which berries to eat, and which ones they could use for medicine. They also used ostrich eggs to collect water at night. They would collect dew using the ostrich shell and use that water during the day. Housing. The basic housing structure was a round hut made from a frame of green branches planted into the ground and bent over and tied together. It was covered with reed mats. It could be dismantled and re-erected into a new location when grazing in the area was depleted. Sometimes the mats were simply removed and rolled up. People left the frames behind if they knew they would be returning to the same site. During the warm weather, it was cool inside with the crevices between the reeds allowing air to circulate. During the winters, the inside would be lined with skin to offer insulation against the elements. Clothing. Generally, the Khoisan wore a bundle of clothes around the genital area, similar to underwear, and braided necklaces for men. Women covered their tops with stripes of clothes and wore skirts made of same fabric. So what did they use to make their clothes? The San clothing was very simple and made from available materials like leather, from the game that they caught or from the cattle that they slaughtered. Children sometimes only wore beads, and the men wore leather pants, while women wore their karosses and leather cloaks made from whole skins of antelope. Let's talk about medicine. The women were the ones who were experts in harvesting and preparing medicinal plants for the treatment of different ailments. Starting with the aloe ferox, the Khoisan used the aloe ferox for everything from laxatives to treatment of eczema, arthritis, conjunctivitis, stress, and hypertension. They might not have called those ailments using the medical terminology that we use in modern day, but they knew how to look for the signs and symptoms and how to treat them. The aloe ferox is also renowned for its anti-inflammatory properties and is a popular treatment for sunburn. They live in the Kalahari Desert and the Namib Desert, so sunburn is something that occurs often. Another plant that they use closely is the aloe vera. Closely related to the aloe ferox, the aloe vera plant is lauded for its antibacterial properties, also as a polyphenol. Aloe vera, along with other plant compounds, are known to inhibit the growth of certain bacteria that can cause infections in humans. The gel is used to treat sores and wounds. Rooibos is another indigenous shrub that grows in the southern tip of Africa, mostly drunk as a tea, and contains lots and lots of minerals, including magnesium, zinc, and iron. Rooibos is known to have over 50 antioxidants compared to the green tea. It is also rich in vitamin C and tannins that are used to ease digestive problems like indigestion. Rooibos is caffeine-free and it will not cause insomnia. Therefore, they sometimes use it in colicky babies. The sour fig can be eaten on its own or used in dishes such as curry. The astringent juice of the leaf is considered to have antiseptic properties and used to treat cuts, eczema, insect bites, ringworms, and sunburn. Taken with water, some believe it's effective in treating diarrhea and sore throat. Another plant that they use is the wild dagger, which is a fragrant and mild narcotic plant with numerous traditional uses. It is smoked for the relief of epilepsy or applied externally on the skin when you have muscular pain. It is often used to treat chest ailments such as bronchitis, flus, and coughs. Most commonly in Southern Africa, the leaves of the wild dagger plant are brewed into a tea for a Zen-like experience or rolled into cigarettes for herbal alternatives of smoking. The Transdance of the San people. Transdance, which is still practiced by the San communities in the Kalahari region, is an indigenous ritual by which a state of altered consciousness is achieved by rhythmic dancing and hyperventilation. It is used for healing sickness in individuals and healing negative aspects of the community as a whole. Trance dance experiences of San shaman are believed to be recorded by the African rock art. Political organization of the Khoisan. The village settlement of the Khoisan was a relatively large, often well over 100 people in one village. Each village encampment consisted of members of the same patrilineal clan, a group of male descendants of particular ancestor with their wives and children. Villages also included some members of other clans, as well as some dependents or servants. Each village had a headsman, a hereditary position passed to the oldest son of the founder. The headman made decisions such as when and where to move. They also acted as mediators or judges in criminal or civil disputes. Several villages were usually united into larger units called tribes. Tribes had a kingsman base and were made up of a number of link clans, with the seniority of one of the clans being recognized. Roles of the traditional form of government in society. They unified the community under one leader. They defended the freedom of the community. They gave members of the society a sense of belonging. They settled disputes among members of the society. They officiated ceremonies and gave guidelines. Their laws and customs and taboos brought order into society. Khoisan rock art can be found scattered throughout the Karo. These engravings left by the nomadic people, most of this image can be found in the low ridges of the rock. Does the Khoisan art differ from the San people? Absolutely, yes. The San used print brushes, whereas the Khoi used their fingers to paint, so their art was often less detailed and seen as more crude. This image shows you the difference between the Khoi art and the San art. The San art also had a massive symbolic and spiritual meaning and were done in different colors. The rock paintings provide us with the insight into the lives of the San people. The San would draw the art in a trance-like state. This trance-like state was brought about through the medicine, dancing, and drumming that they did. It was a way in which the artist would connect with their ancestors and the spiritual world. The San used brushes made from animal hair and bird feathers for painting. For engraving, they used hard, sharp objects, for example, spears and sharp stones. They also used red and brown and yellow pigment to paint, while white was made from white clay and bird dropping. Black was made from manganese minerals and charcoal. It was the arrival of the European in the mid-16th century that things started to horribly go wrong for the Khoisan. Arriving settlers laid claim to land previously used by this group of people. Some settlers placed boundaries and fences around their newly acquired property in order to prevent the passage of people through their land. Many settlers persecuted the Khoisan directly. The disruption of grazing patterns, the exploitation of natural resources, and the spread of imposed diseases and various other conflicts had direct impact on the population of the Khoi and the San people. Arrival of apartheid many years later further suppressed the Khoisan, and they quickly became one of the country's most threatened cultural group. Climate change has also had a direct impact on the Khoisan. 22,000 years ago, when they first lived in Southern Africa, the land was wet and fertile and packed full of wild game. All this started to dry up as soon as the region became hotter and drier. Next, who are Africans? We'll cover the Nilo-Saharan group of people, part 1. This will be the Nilotes in the Nilo-Saharan. Who are the Nilotes? We have highland Nilotes, lake Nilotes, and plain Nilotes. In simple, we have lake Nilotes who are Luos, plain Nilotes who are the Maasais, and highland Nilotes who are the Nandis. See you later. Kwaheri.